What do you think is a good buy right now as an investment?
I don't really think like Doug DeMuro and that kind of stuff because since I saw he did some great ones and all that stuff. I don't really think like that. Because I've always just wanted to buy a car to tell a story and not lose my butt on. So it's not something that I'm constantly thinking about like, ooh, if I get this now, like it's something that goes way up. I know that you eat, live, breathe, drink. That's all you think about. And it's not. I think about it like, is this going to tell a story, and am I going to lose my butt on it? And I try not to do that. But like the Ferrari 430 Scuderia seems to be one where it's we're starting to see little blips of one sell for a lot more than the current $450,000 that, like, I think we're in the last few breaths of that. The 360 Challenge Stradale has already gone to a crazy level, so the 430s are starting to follow. Like the 458 Speciale Apertas and all that stuff have already gone crazy. So that may be a little pocket there.
I think the early Gallardo Superleggeras.
Very limited production. They're also very harsh cars in their E-gears. And now that you can do conversions and stuff, maybe a little better. But the gated Gallardos are definitely a thing. The R8 V10 gated cars are so comfortable and so good that that's something you'll never get again. So any of those older analog supercars are definitely safe, at least, for sure.
So how do you like the Lotus Esprit that you just purchased?
Well, I have the Elise and the Esprit right now. So the Elise was easy because it's the Toyota drivetrain to go through and sort it out. The Esprit V8, we're going to go and take it to the Wizard and inspect and all that stuff. But I've already reached out to a couple of shops to try and find someone who would rebuild the transmission and fix that synchro, and they haven't replied yet. So this is one of those cars where the parts availability and the support is just... There's a lot of enthusiasts out there that are keeping them going. There's definitely some parts, but it's not like I need to research a lot more. And I'm sure the answers are there and to figure things out. But right now it's a little scary because it's just not obvious to me because I haven't done anything with it yet. The car drives amazing. I mean, it's twin turbo, flat plane crank V8. 350 horsepower. They were originally supposed to be 500 horsepower, but they got the transmissions from Renault and they just couldn't take the power. Obviously, mine's crunching, so that's the weak point of them. But and the looks are just insane. They're insane, and that's a car I got for $40,000, and the exact same car, the highest sell point on Bring a Trailer was one for 3,000 miles for $220. So obviously, I'm sitting pretty good. And we talked about that guy getting scamming me and all that stuff. He bought it for $45, and then I got it for $40, and then he had to pay the fee, so he lost $8-10 on the car. So I know he lost money on top of that. So I'm sitting in it very well if it can get sorted out. If I can get that transmission crunch to go away, if I can find a roof panel and fix all the other stuff up, it would probably be a car that I make some money on. But that's obviously an if. I don't know yet.
So what car brands are consistently unreliable?
Ooh, it's weird because I don't think there's any brand that. There's always one a model that's an exception to the rule, and everybody's kind of up and down right now. Lotus obviously was horrible for the unreliability, and then they went with Toyota engines and completely changed their image. So I'm trying to think of a brand that's just consistently bad. There's all this stuff with, I guess, Koenigsegg right now with the serviceability and James obviously documented his journey and some other, big YouTubers talking about the toughness with that. That's a level of money and car that I don't live in or understand, but it seems like that's a really tough world to live in. The Veyrons are pretty reliable. It's just the service costs. They didn't make it very serviceable for the things, but it's not something that's going to leave you on the side of the road. But every automaker has its up and down. So like right now, Ford's doing pretty good and Chevy's doing terrible because they had those 6.2 V8s that had engine problems, and like every single GM 6.2 liter V8 right now is just a ticking time bomb from 2014 to now. And they did a recall and they extended the warranty and changed the oil weights and all that stuff to try and fix it. But it's just a Band-Aid until they redesign the engine. So total junk right now, whereas Ford was pretty good. But then 10 years ago, Ford had an incredibly defective engine with their main trucks, the 5.4 liter V8 that had cam phasers and things. And those were blowing up 100,000 miles. So it's always like, they kind of trade off and like, oopsie, as far as mistakes. But I guess BMW would be one where they consistently figure out a way to engineer something that just is a hand grenade. And when they solve that issue, then they accidentally come up with another hand grenade. And it's like it's such a
But why are some brands like Toyota just consistently like knocking it out of the park, and they're so reliable, but like
Toyota's
someone
not.
else, they're
Toyota's
not?
blown it. I was about
Why?
Toyota was another one.
This is new to me.
Toyota switched from the V8s in their trucks and big SUVs to twin turbo V6s, and they had to recall every single one of them. I think they replaced 100,000 engines
Wow.
in these trucks, because it's this new thing of going from an old school gas guzzling V8 that pollutes to high strung twin turbo 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, all that stuff, putting it in these big trucks, and then totally changing everything. And then this high strung twin turbo V6 with weak parts that are getting boosted now with 15, 20 pounds of boost, and they can't handle it. And boom. So now even Toyotas are not what they used to be. No. And a lot of them are hybrids. The new 4Runner or the Land Cruiser. The new Land Cruiser is now based as a hybrid, and you don't want an off-road hybrid, 4-wheel drive vehicle like on the trail. Like it's
So
too
why are they doing
complicated.
it? Is this purely just to get the miles per gallon higher?
A lot of it, yeah, because there were federal mandates to get the MPG higher. And it's not just the U.S., it's all over the world as far as building a product that meets these mandates for the European Union and for other things, going electric and having these mandates where you have to be a certain MPG and certain electric and all that stuff. So they're struggling with that. And also, it's just what consumers are wanting: fuel efficiency and power. And obviously, smaller packaging, it makes sense to have a smaller engine and cheaper to build, I imagine, in that sense. But it's so complicated. Like, I don't know if they're winning or not, because obviously the prices on cars have just skyrocketed as well. Because it's one thing in the 80s, you bought an Oldsmobile, Cutlass for $10,000, $8,000, and it lasted you 10 years. Throw it away, whatever, it rusted apart. But now it's just $80,000 for, a normal full-size truck, and they don't make it 100,000 miles. It's insane.
So what car brand do you think is criminally underrated?
I feel like Cadillac is one that is just low-key crushing it right now with their products, as far as like the new electric stuff, the Lyric. They made actually something that's just beautiful. Normally electric cars,
Are people buying them?
yeah, they're actually selling well.
Really?
Selling well. Very surprisingly well. You would not expect Cadillac to be low-key outselling so many other electric brands with the Lyric and the Optiq. And then they made the Escalade EV out of that platform, where the Hummer EV was already there, and then the Chevy Silverado EV. Cadillac took that platform and actually made a really bougie SUV that's electric that people actually want, and they're actually selling some of it. And then they're still making legitimate performance sedans too that you can still get with the manual transmission and all that stuff. So they're catering to enthusiasts more than BMW and Mercedes now, offering twin turbo V8 manual transmission cars. And people are like, oh, Cadillac, old man brand, which they've been fighting for 30 years now. And I feel like they've finally made it, and also low-key turned things around, where you see reports were like, oh, Cadillac's having big growth each quarter.
Now, one of the biggest traps with healthy snacks is just how misleading they are. A lot of protein bars, I've noticed, still spike your blood sugar, contain hidden sugars, or contain ingredients you can't even pronounce. And then you're hungry again an hour later. That's why we love the sponsor of this clip, War on Sugar. They make a bar that actually keeps your blood sugar stable, tastes great, and contains ingredients that you recognize.
War on Sugar bars are amazing. They're designed specifically to avoid insulin spikes, and their sweetness comes from monk fruit, which is exactly how they stay sweet without getting that blood sugar response. Plus, they use healthy fats and natural fiber to slow digestion and keep energy steady. And the result is amazing. It's no spike, no crash, and no craving afterwards, just clean, sustained energy that actually lasts.
And the ingredients list is refreshingly simple. No sugar alcohols, no preservatives, no natural flavors. Everything comes from real nuts, real fruits, and real cocoa.
So whether you're watching your blood sugar, eating low carb or keto, traveling or training, or you just need a grab-and-go bar that actually fills you up, War on Sugar is that bar.
They've got great flavors like lemon blueberry, peanut butter pistachio, and chocolate peanut butter crunch.
Seriously, guys, I highly recommend it. Just go to waronsugar.com and use code ICED10 for 10% off your first box. Once again, that is waronsugar.com. ICED10 is the code for 10% off your first box. I have a problem. When I eat, I spike and I crash and I cannot focus. I do not suffer that with War on Sugar bars, so I highly recommend it. Thank you so much to War on Sugar for sponsoring this clip.